Hi, welcome back. Whichever, if you've been in with us before, I'm glad to have you. Today we're on a field trip. I know, how exciting. Wasn't that always the greatest thing when you were a kid, was to go on a field trip? Well, I'm on a field trip to my favorite field trip place, where I like to come and hang out a little bit and usually spend a little bit of money, right? But it's Isabees. And Isabees is in Fenton, Missouri, and Jane Sueme is one of the owners. Jane, tell me about Isabees. How did it get started?
Sure, so we started in 2009 in my garage because there were a lot of new beekeepers in Missouri, in the St. Louis region, because of the Eastern Missouri Beekeepers Association. And I said to one of the suppliers, Walter T. Kelly Company, that they really needed to have a dealership in the St. Louis area, and they said you would be the perfect person to do that. So we've moved a couple of times. We started out in my garage, moved to my partner's house, then to a business incubator, and now here in Fenton. We've been in this building about 6 years.
And you were next door.
Yes.
I was thinking about that on the drive over here today. It was such a tiny little place.
Trying to be efficient.
Yeah, but this is fantastic. So today, Jane is going to talk to us about some new products that they've got. She's shown them to me in advance. A couple of them are mite related, which I think is very important for us, and especially now that we're in the spring is the time to start thinking about your mite treatments. And just some other cool products. So we're gonna walk through the store here and get up toward the front. That's where Jane has these products, and we're gonna talk about them. So let's take a walk.
Okay.
So one thing that I have found about your store is that your glass products are the cheapest by far of anywhere you can buy glass products.
Awesome. Love to hear that.
So, and of course we all look around. Oh, look everybody. Yep. Should I just buy them out now? I've lost more Hive tools than there are Hive tools ever built. But the glass products are just so much less expensive, so great job. So if you're in the St. Louis area, this is where you want to come and get your glass products. In fact, that's what I was buying today, so.
Very good.
Anyways, whoa, you had said your observation hive was going nuts, but this is super, super cool. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it.
And check this out. You can see the other side.
Oh, wow. I don't remember, how long have you had this?
Just since October.
Oh, okay.
This is really just for this season.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That is super, super cool. Now we're going to play Find the Queen. Is she marked?
She's marked with a green dot. Yep. She's last year's queen. And she was laying down here most recently. Let's see if she's on the other side. She's pretty easy to spot.
Nice brood pattern. Wow, check that out. Well, we all know I could just sit here and stare at this all day long, but this is really super cool. How fun. Okay, well, let's talk about some products.
Okay.
So, Jane, you've got some really cool products here. What have you got?
Well, first of all, I mark queens a lot, and I am always losing the round tube as it rolls away. I had it drop literally on the ground the other day, and I thought, I am going to try this square queen marking pen. It's kind of small. It was a little bit challenging to get the queen positioned just properly to get her in here, but I like it. The squares are large. I could get a lot of ink on her, and of course it won't roll away.
And you were talking about it rolling away is a real issue.
Yes, I had it drop off my table onto the ground the other day.
And queens
was
don't
okay.
like. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but queens don't tend to like that.
No,
don't tend to like that. So that is super cool. And these probably aren't real expensive, are they?
no, I think it's $8.
Well, very cool. Available at Isabees.
Yes.
And talk about that, because it takes the guesswork out of your hives.
Well, and I was saying to you earlier that I feel like a lot of beekeepers don't know what hefting the hive means. Mm-hmm. And especially in the wintertime, that's a really easy thing you can do to kind of judge whether they're going through their stores or not, because really it's the honey that weighs. Bees don't weigh very much.
Right.
So I just thought this would be a handy little thing for people to have that hooks on to the bottom handle, and you pull it up and it gives you a reading. It's like a luggage scale. Mm-hmm. It gives you a reading and you multiply by 2. It's just one of those things that every beekeeper should learn to heft hives and get a sense for weight, rather than having to pull frames out and look at each frame to determine how much stores you have. You can just do it by weight.
And I use one of these and love it, but just a handy hint from my perspective, I weigh several times a year. So I start out at the beginning of the year, and you guys have all seen it. It's big blue painter's tape on the back of every hive, because if I don't write it down just then, it's gone. I will never do it. So I write down weight and date, and it's a really handy thing to have, especially as you go through the winter and you need to know how much weight you've got on your hives. These are really handy, very easy to use, and they just clip to the back of the hive and you lift it up.
Right.
And it gives you accurate. That's the cool thing about it.
Right. And whatever it is, that's like your benchmark. You know, you don't have to know what does 75 pounds feel like. You just use this, and if it goes down, it's losing weight, and if it goes up, it's gaining weight. And that tells you what you need to know.
So we talk about this. This is a big deal at Nabi, and I think it's going to be a really big deal in the fight against varroa mites. And aren't we all fighting varroa mites constantly? So
this is VarroxSan. This is the extended release oxalic acid strip. And like Apivar, this is for contact. So the bees have to literally touch the strip. What's cool about it is it's organic, so you can actually have it in the hive while you are supering. There's no temperature restriction, so it can be in the hive at any time, but it has to be positioned where the bees are coming in contact with it.
Sure.
I think that my understanding, and we haven't really used it yet, this is really the first season that it's going to be in use, but my understanding is that it's going to be most effective when the mite counts are low, that you would put this treatment on, and it's supposed to affect their reproduction or something that keeps the mite count from ever getting elevated, which I love. I love that whole idea.
I mean, anytime you can keep them down, I mean, we constantly talk about you got to knock down your mite count. Well, if you don't need to knock down your mite count, this does it for you.
Right.
I mean, and a constant all year long. So yeah, this is a game changer. I know it's a cliche that I try not to use, but it's a game changer.
So there are two sizes. One is a 20 count for probably 5 hives, 4 strips per 5 hives, or all the way up to 60 count to do 10 hives.
But it needs to be in the brood chamber.
Yes, definitely in the brood chamber, and they have instructions on the labeling. They want you to position to kind of consolidate all your brood into the same chamber. Again, because it's contact, you want the brood and the nurse bees that are feeding that brood, because that's where the mites want to hang out, is on nurse bees and in brood. You want all that kind of in the same area. So it does take potentially a little bit of management on your part to get it positioned correctly for treatment.
But if I'm reading it right, less than $10 a hive?
Yes.
Which, I mean, isn't that pretty cheap to keep your mite counts down? Would you say 40, how many days?
40, I think it's 46 to 52 is the treatment range. So, you know, the idea that you can have this on, have your honey supers, you're not worrying about the mite count getting elevated, and do I take supers off to do a mite test if you're doing that monthly testing, which the universities recommend. I don't know that any of us really do that. But anyway, I love all of that.
I'll check the tape on my back. The tape doesn't lie.
Right.
The tape does not lie. But hey, anytime I see a drone brood, I at least check it. And this has been the constant talk of all beekeepers, whether you're a new beekeeper or years old. We've gone from treating around Thanksgiving and Christmas, which was enough to keep the mite counts down, to the point that now you've got to treat basically year-round. What a great way to not have to be either doing dribbles or taking supers off. This is, I'm liking it.
So it's called VarroxSan, put out by Vita Bee Health.
And what's cool is that you can use them with supers on.
Yeah.
Which leads us to our next really super cool product, and something that is seeming to be more and more in demand as of late. And this is?
This is Hogg half comb frame.
And anything with the name Hogg in it's got to be good, right?
So this is cut comb, think section comb like Ross Rounds. And instead of having to have a dedicated special sized box, this is a cassette, I think they call it a cassette, that you can put in a regular extracting honey medium super. You're going to get the conventional comb size out of it, but this extender, you know, allows you to put it in a medium frame. The idea is that most of us can get a colony to at least build out one of the cassettes, which will yield 8 boxes of comb honey. The other cool thing about Hogg is they build it in the crystal box. So you just take it out, clean it because it'll have wax on it, put a lid on it, and then it's saleable. You don't have to cut it. You don't have to deal with dripping honey. You don't have to touch it. So people on the buying end are potentially going to feel more comfortable that really it's not manipulated by humans.
And that's about as close as hive to table as you can get.
Yes.
And it's right out of the hive, right into the market.
Right.
Excellent.
Right. So again, it's going to take the space of 2 of your regular size frames, but you know, if you've already got supers on a hive and the hive is rocking and you're like, wow, I could get some comb honey out of this, you can just grab 2 frames, put this in its place and maybe move those frames to something else and get a nice yield of nice comb honey out of it.
Well, and we talked about this earlier, and that's an issue that a lot of beekeepers have, is the fact that I've got to dedicate an entire super to Ross rounds. And it's like, that's potentially a lot if you're not a really large beekeeper. If you've got 150 or 200 supers out, it's like, okay, I could see, okay, I'll dedicate one to that. But if you just want some comb honey and you've only got a handful of hives, this is a great way to do it without sacrificing the rest of your frames.
Right. And a lot of beekeepers find that you give them a whole box of a specialty size, they will build a couple frames really nice, and then the rest of it's kind of half built, and so you don't really get the yield that the professionals are able to get. So I think this is good for hobbies.
Oh yeah.
Hobby beekeepers.
Yeah. And then on top of it, the others, the Ross rounds, if you don't get full Ross rounds out of them, it's just gone. I guess it's your own crushed honey. Is what it basically amounts to.
Yeah, it's not marketable.
Exactly. Exactly. So.
Well, and then these are refillables, so you know you would use these and then buy new ones. But the cassette itself, you'd only need to have one.
And does the system come with covers, caps for them?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a fully marketable piece. Excellent. And you get 8 to a super. They're bank.
Yeah.
I mean, people pay a lot of money for comb honey. Yeah. And I've seen more and more requests at the market and through my website for comb honey, and I have not produced it before, mostly because I wasn't wanting to sacrifice the whole super.
Right.
And then I just never got around to it once I got larger. But this is, I think, a cool way to do it. I think I'm going to have to try it.
Very good. A Hogg half comb frame rather than the whole box. It's just a frame.
Okay, and the manufacturer is?
I think it's Better Bee.
Okay.
Better Bee.
Excellent. So, Jane, I want to say thank you so much for spending a little time with us. I enjoy it. I have talked to Jane about coming out here and visiting the store, doing the field trip. I think I'm going to try and talk her into doing a couple more. We've got some ideas, and sometimes I think we might just want to sit down and chat bees.
Okay.
We'd love to do that.
Yeah.
So that's the plan. Hey, well, thanks for having us.
Sure.
I really appreciate it.
Coming to visit.
Best to Scott. I don't think I did see Scott briefly today.
Yeah. It's bee delivery day. He's very busy.
I bet. I bet. But again, thank you very much. Appreciate you having us out. And as I always say, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Likes are always great too. And it's Jane. You got to hit the like button. Come on, it's Jane. So thanks much, and happy beekeeping. You guys take care.